The Chuck Knoxx Show. Don't go to bed Mondays without it.
And we are live. Welcome, everyone, back into the Chuck Knoxx Show. I am your host, Chuck Knoxx, and we are sitting here on a bye week, anxiously waiting for the return of the New York Football Giants, the 6-2 New York Football Giants. Welcome in, everybody, and before we get started, let's get this right out of the way. Very exciting news. Go ahead, drum roll, please. We don't have one, but if we did, we have our very first sponsor for the Chuck Knoxx Show, which is now being brought to you by BetUS, the official sportsbook app of the Chuck Knoxx Show. BetUS.com is going to be your new home for all your sports betting. But you have to click the link in this description. No matter where you're listening to this right now, whether it's on a podcast app, whether it's on YouTube, wherever, there's going to be a link in this description. Click it and sign up, and you're going to get the 125% bonus. And by signing up, you're also going to help out this channel and this content. So there you go. Very excited. Very first sponsor, the official sponsor of the Chuck Knoxx Show, link in the description. So this has been an exciting season for the Giants, for myself, and obviously other Giant content creators. This is just a magical season. It's been a total cleansing over the last decade of failures. And here we are at the bye week with a 6-2 New York Football Giants. And if I would have said to 90% of the Giants fans when we got right to here at this point, and looking at the schedule, not many would have come up with a 6-2 record at this point. But, you know, here we are. We should have been, maybe could have been 7-1. But, you know, to be 6-2 at the exact moment where we were last year at 2-6, at the exact week in the 2021 season, the Giants were 2-6. So, I mean, again, speaking of sports betting, but we have been, I've referenced this before, but we're playing with house money. Every single week, the Giants are exceeding expectations. And now you're talking about just weeks away from the Thanksgiving game, where it's really the last game of November. Then you're in that December push. And here the Giants are, not just in contention for the division, on a wild card. I mean, they're one game behind the best record, 2 games behind the best record. And happened to play the Philadelphia Eagles twice. And we end the season in Philadelphia, which is going to be a total shit show. There's going to be something major on the line when the Giants and Eagles meet up in the final week of the season in Philly. Whether it's a playoff spot or positioning or even the division. It's all the marbles coming down there. But we got a long ways to go before we even get close to week 18. And if I had to really be honest right now, and it's hard, you know, to be critical about the Giants sometimes, but obviously the glaring hole right here, if we were doing a mid-season report and a report card, I mean, let's face it, the receiving corps, we saw it again in the Seattle game. It's the absolute worst. It is the Achilles heel of the New York Giants. And I'm not saying that we're some flawless team that's just lights out, hitting on all cylinders all over the field, but there's no doubt, everybody knows that. You look in the Seattle game where the Seahawks were like, okay, we know that you have absolutely nothing on offense for a passing attack. Not a knock on Daniel Jones, but we're going to force you to throw to Darius Slayton and Richie James and David Seals and Marcus Johnson. We're going to force you to do that, do something about it. And we really couldn't do it. And when we had the chances and we had the opportunities, it wasn't just, you know, Richie James's 2 fumbles. There were drop passes all over the field. And so as the Giants get treated more seriously as the season unfolds, and you start to see defenses figure out, well, okay, let's make you a one-dimensional team. Because if we can shut down Barkley and we can keep Jones from running out All we got to do, and still, look at, I mean, the Giants, if you go into a game in the fourth quarter against the Giants, at this point, to feel comfortable, to feel remotely like the game is in your hands, you got to have a 3-score lead on the Giants. So that's why, like, right now at 6-2, coming into the bye week here, I'm still as confident as I was 2 weeks ago. A loss on the road to Seattle, you know, man to man, whatever, better team that day. But that's a losable L, if that makes sense. That's a loss on paper that you can tolerate. Not saying that I condone it, because we still could have won that game. I think there was a couple things here and there. Obviously, Richie James's fumbles take it out of the equation. Who knows? Who knows? We don't even know if the Giants would have gone down the field and scored. But the point was that we didn't even get the opportunity. So if you're looking at the Giants going forward, you know that you're going to get a defense that's going to keep them in games all the way to the fourth quarter. And you're going to rely on, at that point, when the other team is getting tired, they're getting broke down, they're getting winded on the field, that's when you start to see the running attack. And if the Giants can continue to do this, it'd get them, going to the playoffs. It'd get them in the playoffs. How far will that go before it breaks? I don't know. And that's why a lot of fans were a little bit surprised that the Giants did not pull the trigger in the trade deadline this week. Tuesday at 4 p.m. came and gone, came and went. Giants did not pull the trigger. There was a lot of names attached to the Giants. Cooks in Houston, who right now seems to be insubordinate at best. He's not at practice. The Texans play today. We're recording this podcast Thursday night. He's nowhere to be seen. They were in the running for Moore out of Carolina, but it looks like they're keeping on to Moore. They've let everybody go in that. The Panthers started out the season with Rule as their head coach, Baker Mayfield as the quarterback, and McCaffrey as the running back. McCaffrey's in San Francisco, throwing fucking balls all over the place, catching them, receiving. Baker Mayfield is on a bench, probably out of the NFL within a year. And Matt Rule's probably at home. He got his money. Who cares? But what an upheaval there. But anyway, the Giants didn't get Moore. They didn't get Judy. And, I think there was one or two other names attached to the Giants. But I know a lot of fans were pissed. And there was a flurry of trades in the last 2 hours before the deadline. And when it happened, I was weirdly pleased, because part of me did not want the Giants to make this move. If Joe Shane and the rest of the front office decided to pull the trigger here, and as I said in the post-game podcast to the Jaguars game, and as I said in the post-game podcast last week, it just didn't make sense for a GM that seems to be understanding that his stock is in these draft picks. His rebuilding process is where he's going to have his bread and butter. So to leverage these picks, regardless if you have 9 picks, it didn't make any sense. So what always made sense to me was going outside. If you're not going to trade for a wide receiver, you're telling your teams one of two things. You're either going to make this run with what we have, which is nothing, bare minimum. And I only elevate it to bare minimum because of really Wan'Dale Robinson. But Wan'Dale Robinson as a rookie and being, a smaller receiver cannot be your number one. And this is a slot receiver. So you got to go, you got to go outside. That's where you broke in the bank in the Brinks truck for Galladay. And there he is, still not on the field. But your hope is, can we get this guy on the field finally? Can he earn $10? And trust me, I'm rooting for Kenny Galladay. I'm not trying to shit on him. I do it a lot. It's easy to do. And it's only easy to do by the enormous absence. It's the elephant in the room. This team is desperately in need of wide receivers, and you have one of the highest paid in the NFL sitting over there. And when he's been on the field, he has not been productive. So the hope is that you're going to have that help on the outside. But as it stands on paper, if you didn't pull the trigger on the trade, that means you either are staying pat or, and this is what I like to think is going to happen, you're going to make some kind of splash, as big of a splash as you can make with barely no money, right? So you're talking really like not even a kid's pool splash. If you were to do a cannonball in a kid's backyard little plastic pool, more like you have one of those tubs that you put your feet in, put Epsom salt in, and you just jump in it. You're going to get some water all over the floor, but that's about it. And that's what the Giants are attempting to do. But the name that they are seemingly attaching themselves to is going to put all the water out of the bucket because it's a big move. And we only say this is a possibility because for the since the start of the season, OBJ through social media has constantly, been buddy-buddy with former Giants teammates, speculated that he would return here in a heartbeat if the money was right, and then flat out publicly telling Saquon that, we're going to have a reunion, or suggesting of a reunion. So, when he comes last month to visit Sterling Shepard, one of his best friends, on the surface, it was about, well, Odell was in the building because he wanted to visit his best friend, which, I don't buy this shit at all. Seriously. Odell Beckham has a private jet, right? Let's just say he doesn't have a private jet. He's got the ability to fly whenever he wants. And he certainly has the ability to see his best friend anytime that he wants. Now, at this point, Sterling Shepard had torn his ACL, I think, 2 weeks prior. And yet he flies from the Bahamas to come all the way to East Rutherford to see his former teammate and check on him. Didn't have an official visit or anything like that. I tend to believe them when they say we weren't in the room, blah, blah, blah. And because of that, everything just grew and has just been a nonstop speculation, which has now been fueled. First, it was by fans. Then it was OBJ himself. Then it was our players, his former teammates. And now it has trickled all the way down or up, whatever you want to call it, to our general manager. Joe Schoen this week has been outspoken about Odell Beckham on multiple occasions. In the mid-season annual press conference that typically our general manager will conduct with the media, he was asked point-blank range, there it is, the OBJ question. Similar response, I didn't know he was in the building. We would be interested if he's healthy. But you could see right there and there, the tone was, he could have dismissed it. He could have said there's nothing to it, but he didn't. He dangled that carrot out there. And also because he does know that OBJ wants to be wanted. He wants to be coveted. This is his tour. He's going out and, seeing who wants to pay me, who wants me. And there's Joe Schoen saying, yeah, we're interested if you're healthy. But then he goes on WFAN and is asked by Tiki Barber about the possibility of Odell a reunion, especially given the fact that a lot of the criteria that we would want for Odell, or that vice versa, is a mutual mix. You have a team that's a contender. You have a team that is in desperate need of a wide receiver. And then you have the other elements here that are not being factored in. Like, OBJ loves New York. So obviously it's tatted on his back. So Joe Schoen being asked point blank about it, I thought was the most authentic and triggering. Light bulbs went off in my head when I heard this, because I had gone into this with an approach that there was maybe a 20%, maybe 25. Once I started to see the Twitter stuff and the reactions from some of the current teammates, then it was like maybe 25%. But obviously you're going to go to Buffalo. Why wouldn't you? If they're offering you, why wouldn't you go to Buffalo, KC, whatever? But then the next few weeks happen where the Giants keep winning. They got a same record or just by one loss difference than these other teams that are interested. And then so the question's asked of why? Why not us? Why not the New York Giants? And the first thing is going to be money. But again, you're talking about a guy that blew his ACL out, the same one he's had multiple surgeries on, blew it out in February in the Super Bowl. And he was already on just above the vet minimum from the Rams. So to me, any notion that OBJ is going to get some monster contract, it's crazy. This is not 2014. This is a different OBJ. And the fact to me that he knows the Giants cap space, his people know the Giants cap space, and yet he has still not wavered, not backed off publicly his interest in the Giants. But the most telling thing in here was that Joe Schoen has been and will be in constant contact with Odell's people. And here's what he had to say.
OBJ, I don't know if he wants to be back with the New York Giants, but he could be. And I know that this is all about him deciding where he wants to go. And, he probably wants to go to a contender. But let's face it, Joe, you guys are kind of in a contender right now. Is there any reality to this, or could there be OBJ coming back to the Giants?
Yeah, again, we're going to do our due diligence all the time, and he's a guy that we've reached out to his representatives. We're in contact with his representatives, where he is on his rehab, what he's projected to be, and whether it's 4 weeks from now or 5 weeks in terms of his health, when he's going to be available. Again, he tore that ACL in February, so his timeline, we got to figure out what that is. When's he going to be 100% healthy? What he's looking for financially. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. But yeah, we're gonna anybody that'll upgrade our roster at any position, we're gonna pursue those. And he checks that box of a guy that we're going to continue to stay in contact with.
So by those comments, does it mean necessarily that it's a done deal? No, of course not. But it means that, look, if this guy is healthy, I'm saying it publicly, I like this guy. I think he can contribute to this team in a meaningful, successful way. And I think the one thing that benefits the Giants with Odell is the fact that of all the teams that could go out and rent him for half a season, not even half a season, for basically a month and a half, well, the Giants are the only ones that can offer him multiple years. They're not going to be able to pay him an assload of money. But you give him a 2 or 3 year contract, and you're renting him basically for this run. You get him all next year when he's even healthier. The story writes itself. It's mutual beneficial on both sides. It's a no-brainer. It is a no-brainer. And I don't get some of the reservations that I shouldn't say that. I do get some of the reservations Giants fans have, but I think it's all just been blown out of proportion. The notion that, he was a locker room guy. He wasn't a locker room guy. I do understand fans that don't want to mess up the chemistry that we have here, but these guys love Odell Beckham. And the energy, having that target for Jones, which you're just asking to have a reliable option, which he does not have right now. Let Robinson mature and grow and develop as a rookie wide receiver. He cannot be the guy that you have to rely on, for 90% of your snaps. Right now, the New York Football Giants have a receiving core where a guy like Marcus Johnson is getting 86% of the snaps. That's the situation we're in. So when somebody tells me, yeah, I don't know what kind of condition OBJ is going to be in, neither do I. I don't know. But I will say this, half an OBJ is better than 100% Richie James and 100% Marcus Johnson. It's just facts, folks. It's reality. So I'm in. I've planted my flag. I'm not disappointed either way because, again, with this regime, no matter what move they make, I know it was the right move. I have no problem whatsoever. I don't lose sleep at night thinking that that my team's in the hands of an incompetent madman with a terrible Boston accent. We're in good hands. So whatever this team wants to do, I'm okay with it. But like I said, on the record, do I want Odell back? Absolutely. That's just one, story that's kind of evolving here in this bye week. The other story that's out today, the Giants possibly extending a couple of their players. Joe hinted around at it and when asked about extensions. And news that broke today, it seems like the first Giant that might get a contract extension, and deservingly so, is Julian Love. And Julian Love has just had an outstanding season. This is a guy that's becoming a cornerstone, a leader of the locker room. He's just incredibly smart. I just love this kid. So getting him wrapped up would be very nice to see. I know there's rumors on potentially an extension on Andrew Thomas, possibly Barkley. We'll see if that's going to happen in this bye week. And the Jones thing, I still think unfortunately, that's not going to happen until probably the end of the year. It was made clear this week, again, that every week, every game is an evaluation process. And that goes from Daniel Jones all the way down to Richie James. So don't be surprised if the bye week comes and goes and you don't get a, Barkley or a Daniel Jones extension. I think the Love one gets worked out. I wouldn't be surprised to see Andrew Thomas. But we're in good hands. We don't have to lose sleep about thinking that a wasteful or wrong move is going to occur under this regime. I just don't. We're just going to have to let this whole thing play out. And as we let this thing play out, it's just going to, it's already at this point one of my favorite seasons of all time. It really is. Not a Super Bowl season, but I feel good again on Sundays. I feel great coming into work on Victory Monday. It's the little things. It's the little things, being able to actually watch sports the next day after a loss or after a win. When we lose, I can't even turn on SportsCenter. I can't turn on TV. I have to watch, things that are not sports related because I don't want to be inundated with, what just happened. And it's PTSD. It's 10 years of that. It's a long time. So as much as these wins have been crucial, devastating to my heart, to all of us, our psyche, it's been fucking amazing. We've been living and dying, and I'm not the only one, just one of the only idiots that's out there recording himself. But we have all been sitting collectively in front of the TV, at the edge of our couch, for regular season wins and going bananas, going just absolutely crazy. Because that's 10 years of this coming out in us. So, yes, I'm in on this. I am all in. Whatever this team and this organization wants to do going forward, I'm all in. I really don't care. Take the wheel. Joe, take the wheel. Dabs, take the wheel. Full confidence. Player personnel side, that's one thing that'll figure itself out. But on the field, the second half of the season starts next week as the Giants welcome in the Houston Texans. What, on paper should be a, winnable game. Nothing's easy. We haven't had anything easy. But it should be a winnable game for the Giants, and it starts the next 9 games where we're going to find out who we are as a team, where we're going to finish, and is Daniel Jones going to be the guy that takes us there? Because I'll say it again, like the teams in the NFL, if the Giants cannot get this passing game going, and you can only do so much with the caliber of guys that we have out there. This is not Madden. But if you cannot get that going and you solely rely on Jones and the legs of Saquon, the lower half of each of these gentlemen, that's only going to go so long, folks, because these teams are now starting to take you serious. They're like, okay, you're the 6-2 New York Giants. I got you. Watch this. I'm going to stack the box and I'm going to beat the shit out of you. So we have to have that response. And that's why I hope Kenny Golladay can prove us all wrong. I hope that this general manager and this front office can get something done on the cheap if they can. And the only option is Odell. Anybody that's out there that's worth a shit right now to come off the streets and contribute right now. Again, 50% of Odell is better than their 100%. So I'm taking it. But if not, and that's okay, if that doesn't happen, then guys have to step up. Kenny Golladay has to step up. From Darius Slayton down to Richie James and Marcus Johnson, these guys got to catch the damn ball. We're winning in spite of what we have, and we've been told now going forward, there's no help coming in, boys. It's on you. And it makes for great national media headline talking points if the Giants struggle down the stretch that it's Daniel Jones' fault in his contract year. That's what the story will be. But we know how that gets there. And it's got there because we need guys to step up. Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley have done everything in their power, in their body and soul, to get this team to 6-2. The defense has done their part. The special teams, God bless the Scottish Hammer and Gano. Absolutely A+ special teams. But the offense has consisted primarily of these two guys. But one of the keys to this offense, and hopefully this will start to see things kind of triculate more down the field when he returns, is getting Bellinger back. Well, you saw it in the Seattle game without him right there. What a instant difference that made. We don't know his official timetable for his return, but there's a likely scenario that a lot of these guys that were hurt down there in Jacksonville, that they'll be back hopefully by the Dallas game. We'll see. Some of those sound a little too soon, but we'll see. As I look at the Bellinger thing, and I'm seeing, well, this guy's half his face got ripped off from his orbital bone down, and they're telling me he's going to play by Thanksgiving. I like it. I think he comes back sometime this year, so we'll see. How much can we hold down the fort? Next 2 weeks, Giants have the Texans and the Lions at home, so 2 winnable games, but this second half can belong to the New York Giants. They need guys to step up or get somebody in there and play mistake-free football. You do all those things, you're going to wrap up here with 12, 13 wins easily. You could have 2 this week. You have, to me, 2 against Washington. You got the Colts at home. Some get back against Dallas. You have to win that game, by the way. Just for me alone, I will be hosting Thanksgiving. One of my 7 uncles is a diehard Cowboys fan. He's staying the night. That's going to be fun. And then I have my friend who literally lives right across the street from me, Cowboy Brian. He's coming. I'm outnumbered. And the whole world is watching. That game is, not even going to get there. We have so much to go over before we even get to that point. But getting the Cowboys victory off your back, that would be sweet. Especially on Thanksgiving. That would be sweet. It has to happen. But the second season is right here. We're already right here. Next time you hear from me, we're already going to be ready, preparing for Houston. And hopefully by then we're going to have some news on the extensions. Maybe we get a couple Giants wrapped up. And it's just down. It's all just right here at this point. This is just all house money for me. I'm loving every second of it. And we still got 9 more games to go, plus extra football all the way to February. Let's go. Make a run. Run the table. But as we move closer and closer to the Houston game, you're going to have hype video out again next week. But same thing next week. Everywhere you're going to find all those videos. Of course, they drop on YouTube /Mr. Chuck Knoxx. You have to subscribe, hit the notification bell, because people always ask me, I didn't know you released it. When did this come out? You have to sign up for it. Sometimes these videos come out, it's random. The days, are set before. Hype videos late Friday night, early Saturday morning. Of course, the Facebook page, Mr. Chuck Knoxx, where I'm constantly updating with the news. That's where I'm the most active at. And then, of course, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Chuck Knoxx on all those. I drop exclusive stuff there everywhere. There's exclusive stuff at all these places. So I'm not telling you to like these places. I'm not telling you to follow me at these places. But if you want constant updates, there you go. And last but not least, once again, the official sponsor of the Chuck Knoxx Show. Very happy to have our first and official sponsor, BetUS. The link is in the description. That's where you want to sign up. You're going to get a bonus, and we're all going to win. There it is, though. All the links. That's where you can find me. I appreciate everybody listening and checking on in. You have the response to the podcast and the channel and everything else, and the content has been absolutely amazing. I love each and every one of you guys. Thank you for constantly inspiring me and pushing me. And so you'll be hearing from me very soon. Until the next video, podcast again this weekend. The links everywhere you need to go are in the description. And you guys will be hearing from me real soon. I'm out.